Okay, you're live.
Can you email her? Reminder.
I can't because I'm this man.
Okay,
Yeah, I will. We're live.
thanks, Jim. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 1 o'clock now. Welcome to the November JPA Board of Directors meeting. We do have quorum. We confirm that, and our agenda is gonna be a streamlined agenda today. We've got 5 action items all on this consent calendar that we'll review with you today. We also have 6 informational items covering various areas of the project and 2 closed session items. And then we will hopefully get everyone out on time when we can make our planes for those of you who've flown in, or make your drive a little easier for those who've driven. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to public comment on items not listed on the agenda. This will be time for that. Pausing for anyone to identify themselves for public comment on items listed not on the agenda. Okay, thank you, Jen. Thanks for participation in the chat. I actually saw the chat for the first time in a while. All right, pick it up. All right, then we'll go ahead and we'll move into our consent items and walk through those. Holly is, who's gonna do, Holly?
I'll
Gonna be the,
cover that.
want to drew the short straw on this one?
There we go. So we have 4 contract items today, as well as the minutes on the consent calendar, and additional details are provided in the executive summary, which is posted with the board package. So we'll try and be brief. For the meeting minutes from October, most of our action items are part of today's agenda. There is one action item that related to research of task notification when an appeal is requested through Benefits Cal. That is being proposed for closure today. So Fred or Ashley, did you want to speak to that one?
Sure, this is Frederick James, Cal. The Benefits Cal does not have a mechanism to apply for a state hearing with the application, and that's also does not have any automated task for hearings when they are requested.
Then moving to our next item on the consent calendar is the privacy and security agreement between CDSS and CalSAWS. And yes, we did just approve this at our last meeting, but when we did identify a couple of cleanup items related to some citations to regulations that were not applicable to CDSS. And so we just went ahead and made those changes and some minor cosmetic updates. So we brought it back here for updating the record. The next item is Deloitte change order 3. We have 2 premise items and 3 county purchases. We're requesting approval to utilize 5.7 million of the 60.8 million change allocation. One is for 419,000 for the CalFresh enhancement to populate income page. And then we're asking for 6.3 million for CARES interface scope of work. And then approval of this change order will leave 51.9 million for future changes. This also has some 370,000 for county purchases. There's 3 county purchases that are related to LA counties. There's a county share for the payment verification automation enhancement. So LA County is one of the sponsors of that. And you have executed LA County's executed a county purchase for that. Shasta and San Diego have GAGR enhancements. And that will leave a remaining balance of 19.5 million for future county purchases. And that's no change to the overall total contract value. The next item is Gainwell Infrastructure Change Order 3. We'll utilize $45,840 of the 33.5 million change allowance. There's 6 county purchases. Approval will leave 32.6 million for future work. And the county purchases are listed in the executive summary in more detail, but we do have one for Alameda. It's for some document transfers. We had several kiosk related purchases, one for Santa Clara, one for Riverside, one for Solano. And then we had a GAGR update for San Bernardino and for the purpose-built data set infrastructure scope for LA County. And there's no change to the total contract value for that one either. And then finally, the ClearBest work order 6 will utilize 272,000.9 of the original 8.8 million for professional services. And that's for additional project management services. And those are accounted for in our OAPDU. And that also includes some additional security support services and has a premise item for the complementary QA services for CARES interface. And board approval of that work order will leave 848.7 thousand for future changes. No change to the total contract value. So all of the cost items are accounted for, whether they're through county funding, premise, or the CalSAWS OAPDU or project budget. And they're also accounted for in our CalSAWS JPA project budget. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Michael.
Yeah, just a quick question, just for clear purposes. You mentioned on each one of them, that there was no change in the contract value, but we're adding, dollars in scope, then how is it not changing the contract?
So each contract has a change allowance that as you approve, we draw down from that.
Thank you. And then on B, I might be mistaken, but I thought the PSA for CSS came to us already.
Did.
It did.
Which is what I was mentioning that you did approve it previously, but this updates it based on additional revisions so we're just replacing it with a new version due to updated citations. There was a not applicable welfare institution code reference, as well as there was a HIPAA reference in there which is not applicable to CDSS.
The reason that it's appearing in this form, if you commence the work already, because if we start something and then there's a change to it, it would be normally in your
We're already complying with the privacy and security agreements, the one we had in place before, as well as the DHCS one, and then the one that was approved previously, but this just replaces the one we approved last month, just because we wanted to make sure the record.
So recent though, that's.
Yeah.
All right, that's.
Just want to make sure it was all completely up to date.
Any other questions from our board members, state partners on the 5 slated consent items? See any in the room? Any online? Any public comment? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the slate?
So moved.
Second.
Roderick?
Roderick.
Roderick, not Roderick. Okay. All right, we got, Marlon Roderick or Roderick? Which one was it?
Roderick.
Okay, Roderick, okay. Greg?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Francina?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Veronica? Veronica? Are you
Yes,
on?
yes,
There we go,
Yeah,
there
I'm
we
on.
go.
Yes,
Okay,
thanks.
okay. Uh-huh. Kristen?
yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cynthia? Oh, Rogelio, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay, so our consent items passed. We'll move on to informational items. I think then I'll turn it over to you and the team.
That's Holly's back on.
Well, so I have a couple of items, the really financial update as well as procurement update. So starting with the financials, I'll cover the financial report. The first slide is just our organization. And so this slide is our summary, our overall dashboard. You'll see we're tracking to an allocated budget amounts for 388.4 million for CalSAWS. We have 60 million in premise items. We're still monitoring that. Some may push out to next year. But we also have our JPA administrative budget. So the combination is 449 million. So our actuals today that are reflected here include partial actuals through December because we get our preview of those invoices in November for December. And then we have counties that costs that are claimed through September. So So we are still projecting pretty much full utilization. We are seeing some minor savings expected as we close out Accenture services, but that is subject to change. Our next slide is about consortium personnel details, and we identify the FTE counts. And this year we still have transition staff. So we see those in the counts, and we're working to complete some interviews and selections for some technical and security positions. Our next slide includes the costs for M&E, where these are our system change requests, and that includes our base application, our benefits cow. And then the next slide has the details of those hours. And of course, more details are included in your board package for those as well. Now, this page does not include the premise or the Cal HERES because those are sole focused only on Cal HERES changes and only on the particular premise where there's more variation in our base service.
Are they tracked separately somewhere? So
We track it with a contract in those individual budgets, yeah. The next slide is our contract obligations. That's our liquidated damages that are applicable to this state fiscal year. We're finalizing some credits there. And then lastly is our approved list, or a list of approved contract changes, and that does include the consent items that were just approved. And then finally, for procurements, we are currently in process of reprocuring our quality assurance services. We did receive 6 proposals on October 27th, and we're now in the evaluation phase. So our original schedule assumed 4 proposals. So we have adjusted the evaluation period shown, if you can see line 10, by 3 weeks. That does shift the subsequent tasks out, but we did compress back to, but that uses the majority of our contingency time that we had originally assumed. But we can preserve the final end date for JPA approval and contract start, which is still then planned for December 2026. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Michael, for questions.
So in terms of timing on this, what time does the contract end, the current one?
The current one ends February 2027, end of January 2027. So we have a 2-month transition period.
So with this timeline, we're good.
It's one-
The contingency piece applied.
By using the contingency, we're able to stay on that schedule. Yeah.
Any questions, comments from our board partners on the presentation?
I have a question.
Thank you.
I have a question. On slide 9, where it, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this.
Hmm.
So county FTEs, we have 46 FTEs that are employed by some county. Is it all different counties or all the same county? Different counties. Okay, and then RGS employs 88 FTEs. And who's the subcontractor?
So the contractor, so we have RGS subcontractors. They're just non-employees of RGS.
I see. Would it be possible to get a list of all of our classifications and which category they're in?
Yeah, they're actually
Names,
listed.
kind of what it is.
Yeah, they're actually listed in the RGS contract itself. And we do have an upcoming contract amendment or annual amendment coming up, so it will be part of that.
Okay, but I'm also interested, what are the classifications that are county employees?
Oh, I would have their project title, their working project title.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for names, I'm looking for just where our,
Yeah, in each one of those
Sources.
categories.
yeah,
I can add that.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments, board members? State partners? There are no more? Any public comment? Okay, thank you very much, Holly. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item.
Great. HR1 updates, I believe, Roger.
Yes, hello. Actually, Michelle's going to cover the first 2 slides, and then I'll cover the rest.
Yes, thank you. So just a couple of highlights here. Primarily just we continue to work with CDSS on the ABOD policy changes. We do have an upcoming on-site meeting that's scheduled for December. So just really continuing to work on with them on while they finalize that policy. And so we don't have dates yet for our ABOD, but lots of work going on there. And then one other item on here is a one related to SUAs that says TBD on the October 30th priority column there. We do have a release date for that, and that will be in January 2026. And then if we can move over to the next slide. Lots of activity going on with Medi-Cal. The team continues to meet with DHCS and CalHERS and CWDA on just laying out all the requirements for the 6-month redeterminations, the work requirements, lots of meetings going on in person and weekly. We will be recruiting a work group to work with us on the Medi-Cal work requirements and the 6-month redetermination. So that recruitment will be coming out in the coming weeks. And that's really all I did miss including the work requirement SCR and the 6-month redetermination SCRs on this slide. They have been updated, so we'll be in future meetings, but those 2 items are scheduled for implementation in September of 2026. So we are tracking those items very closely. I think that's the last slide, and I'm going to pass it back to Roger.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So in addition to the HR1 policy system changes that Michelle walked us through, we also have several CalFresh system changes underway aimed at improving the CalFresh processing and error rates. What's displayed on the slide are the changes currently in progress and scheduled for upcoming releases. Each table represents a different release and includes the system change number tracking the effort, the focus area or challenge being addressed, and a summary description of the change to be implemented that will help resolve the issue. And for example, in our upcoming January release, we have 5 system changes across noticing, eligibility determinations, fiscal functionality aimed at improving CalFresh error rates. These updates include updating notices of action, adding new negative action reasons, new expense types, and various other eligibility related enhancements. I won't necessarily go through each SCR, but to highlight a few of the upcoming releases. In our March release, we do have the automation of the payment verification system, data processing, which will be implemented, eliminating the need for any manual entry from our workers. We also have additional enhancements around noticing and eligibility enhancements. If we go to our next slide, we have 2 future releases. We have our May release and then our November release. These releases incorporate changes and focus on EDBC, fiscal, skip benefits, and data entry updates. Next slide, please. Okay, here we have our HR1 outreach efforts. Key items to highlight from our last JPA meeting is that for the January 2026 medical changes, DHCS along with CalSAWS hosted county work group sessions on October 28th to review property scenarios. On November 4th, an overview of the expansion freeze policy was provided, and coming up on December 9th, there will be a walkthrough of the CalSAWS system updates related to the expansion freeze. We can go to the next slide. Regarding our able-bodied adults without dependents effort, the project has hosted 2 CalSAWS learning sessions that were held on October 21st and October 22nd. We had well over 400 participants in each of those sessions, so well participated. And then on October 27th, the PRT environment was updated to have the ABOT functionality turned on, giving counties the opportunity to step through the current functionality. Now, this ABOT functionality will remain enabled in the PRT environment through January of 2026. And then lastly, the ABOT Quick Guide was published and disseminated on November 7th. Next slide. Regarding our HR1 work groups, as many of you are aware, we established 5 HR1 work groups. The first one being the CalFresh Processing to Reduce Error Rates work group. We have an ad hoc reporting work group, an ABOT enhancements and income verification, and a data analytics work group. On October 16th, we held the kickoff session or meeting with the CalFresh Processing and ad hoc reporting work groups. Both began meeting weekly the week of October 20th. Regarding our ABOT and income verification work groups, those have been postponed to mid-January. The reason for this is for ABOT, we are awaiting state policy guidance on the implementation. The state is looking to schedule a working session with CalSASI at the end of this month, the beginning of next month, to review the open policy questions, identify gaps, discuss options and feasibility, and determine the potential effective dates for that policy. For income verification, the state is in the process of procuring a new tool for income and employment verification. And so the project is awaiting additional information about the procurement, its customization, and configurability options to be able to take forward to that work group. Our last work group there is our data analytics work group. They held their kickoff session on October 29th. Just one thing to clarify here is this work group is focused on the long-term analytics and reporting solution, while the ad hoc reporting work group is focused on the urgent HR1 reporting needs. And overall, the goal of these work groups is to identify and prioritize requirements. Next slide. A little bit further on the CalFresh Processing work group, its objective is to gather and prioritize CalSAW system enhancements that can help reduce county CalFresh error rates. In this work group, we have participation from 16 counties across all 6 regions, as well as state representation. To date, the work group has met 4 times. The team has walked through the end-to-end CalFresh processing process, identified the top 3 error areas across counties, completed a deep dive into income-related errors and expense-related errors, and began identifying system requirements to aid in these areas. Next steps for this work group include conducting a deep dive into household composition errors, refining and prioritizing the requirements that have been identified based on prevalence and impact, and aligning on the final recommendations to take forward. With that, I'll pass it over to Jerry to provide a quick update on the ad hoc reporting work group.
Thank you, Roger. Jerry Nielsen, Application Manager for CalSAWS. So the HR1 ad hoc work group, we've been having sessions over the last month. 4 sessions have been completed. We have identified 44 ad hoc reporting requirements and tied those to HR1 items as well. So all of them got tied to that. Over the next 2 sessions, we will be looking at prioritizing those and identifying any additional requirements to begin design, development, and implementation of those starting in the mid-December through January and February timeframe. There were some requirements regarding the initial set of reports that we had, the ABOT related stuff. And we are prioritizing those updates a little bit earlier and anticipating getting those done by mid-November. I will pass it back to Roger for the rest of the groups, I think.
I think that's it.
Questions, comments from our board member state partners on this, on the HR1 update?
I have a question. I appreciate the update on ad hoc reporting. And I needed reports months ago. I mean, I'm already having to report to my board of supervisors how many people are going to be impacted by each of the HR1 changes and what the fiscal impact is going to be to our county. I'm reporting Tuesday, actually, in a board meeting about the fiscal impact to our county, and I don't have any reports from CalSAWS yet. So that's been difficult for us and difficult for my team to be producing their own reports without any support for CalSAWS here. And I know I'm not the only county in this situation. I know, many counties were already going to with the information. So to hear that it's going to be January to February before we get any reports feels like a long ways out.
My understanding is, and Roger, keep me honest, I saw some emails. As the ad hoc work group is gathering the requirements, and if someone is requesting, well, I cannot wait till January and I did this till December, we've been prioritizing those requests. Roger, is that accurate?
Yeah, that is accurate. I think Rajesh, right, there's the 6 original reports that were provided and shared with the counties to help identify the potential impact of population. The work group has reviewed those queries. The counties have come up with several enhancements to those queries that the team is working to prioritize and schedule on a more expedited schedule. And so I know the team is working on that. I don't have the timeframes in front of me, but I know that is being prioritized above the other reports.
And I'll just say again, like I said before, that is not 6 reports for the county. It is queries that get to a single report. So like the first query, how many people are in Medi-Cal? That's not the report I need, right? The report I need is how many people are in Medi-Cal are being impacted by HR1 actions. The reports I need are how many people in for CalFresh, right? How many people are your ABOT? How many people are going to be impacted by the changes? I need data about the exemptions and how many exemptions we already have in place. I need data about the immigrants who aren't going to be on CalFresh anymore because of HR1. They haven't heard inquiries. So I'm just looking for CalSAWS to be producing those reports for us. As counties, we're making reports, but there's a bunch of counties that can't do that, right? They don't have the data infrastructure to be producing their own reports. So we're in a time that's very timely, and as counties, we need this information to be figuring out our budgets. Our boards are talking about budgets for next year right now. We're making budget projections right now, and CalSAWS hasn't provided us yet.
So to challenge the project to dig into this, we have directors willing to actually share what they're looking for. And see if we can expedite some of the reports up front, and not just some queries, but actually putting together some environments that could answer some of the questions that Marla's talking about. And we have one of our vice chair is somebody that's expressing the need and also the frustration of not having something.
Completely
We need
understand.
to respond to that.
We'll set up the meeting as early as next week and go through what's remaining, and we'll.
Yes, that's good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I just want to encourage us to act before we end up at the level of frustration. This is something we've been talking about over several meetings, how important this is. I think we've missed it a little to try to marshal the resources needed. Any other comments or questions from our board members, state partners?
Michael, this is Kristen. I have a comment. So I'm following the higher level ad hoc reporting and analysis reporting that is being discussed right now. But I also want to make sure we don't lose sight about the workload management types of reporting. We are going to encounter increases in workload, and being able to maneuver at the individual unit levels, et cetera, is equally important to having overarching reports that are necessary for analysis. So if we could if I can just encourage the work group members to maintain that thought in their work, I would appreciate it.
Got it. Yeah.
I was just Francine Blair, I would just echo everything that was said about timeliness and responsiveness. And I understand that those workers are
Here and
they're still getting through. But I think getting through draft samples and pushing some things up is a lot quicker than just waiting for some of those requirements to be pushed through on the back end, considering the nature of this request not being a normal report direction that's going on. And also how the report sites look at things like those people that are going to fall into patient care populations that are going to come off of Medi-Cal. Because those are also very costly things that we're being asked from the county for boards to estimate on what we might have to cover and what their cost looks like as a county. We're looking at mid-year changes and we're doing something that's a little bit different this year in most counties, which is we're not just going with mid-year, we're going with next year. And we are already looking at potential of, staffing challenges. So again, not to belabor the situation, I think you guys get it, but I think Marlo's correct, and I don't know if said too, and everyone else, but and I do have multiple counties that are willing to step in and give examples of what we've been trying to pull in past helps. But I really the project that has the data, and some counties have data leaks, that's a big difference. Not all counties have that data, and not all capacity, but the information is the same.
Right. It's a great point. We do have difference in resource availability, but all the counties have the need. And so we really look to especially for counties that don't have the resources to do this stuff, to really helping us out. I just want to emphasize, we've been talking about reporting multiple meetings. We've got to have a task force around this and really trying to tackle it, because it's spelled out in the way we look at HR1. We can see what the concern areas are. That's why the board's asking, our boards are asking us that, is they're looking at these impact populations and they want to track and see what's happening over time. Are we having, huge drop-offs in these areas? Because then they're going to require extra services from maybe a whole different department, or maybe even we have to go back and plug a hole. And to be able to do that, you have to know early on and use these projections. So I really want to emphasize getting this together soon, very quickly. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Wait a minute, Greg?
I just wanted to also suggest, like you were saying, Michael, reporting's been a paramount issue for a long time, and things get pushed back when we have issues like we had this last couple of weeks that we didn't have any expectation of 3 months ago. And who knows what the next issue is going to be that totally impacts everybody and throws everybody into doing something else. So it is a very highly important issue. So.
Yeah, and then I'm still going to talk about this because I want to get to, January, and then we're underwhelmed on what that actually is. When you set dates out like that, then we need to have some progress between now and then. Like Francina talked about, where we can get some draft, looks at what they look like, so we can have expectation management about like where we're at, what we work off swags, we work off of estimates and things. And if we can use things along the way, we would certainly do so. I just don't want to put dates out there, then we get to that date and find out it's deficient. It's not what we were thinking we were getting. Now we're disappointed. Now we're going to push out. Now it's now March before we see some. All right. Any other comments from the board members, state partners? Any online vote comments or questions? Okay. Any public comment? Oh, I heard somebody.
That was me. I was just making sure I didn't miss public comment. So I wanted to make sure there's no more comment from your side.
I was transitioning to public comment just now, Jen, so
Okay.
go ahead.
Thank you for this helpful presentation and discussion. And also thank you for creating the parallel work groups with the public. I have a few questions about like timelines, the topics that will be part of the parallel work groups with the public. And I did send some outstanding questions over email and over Ask CalSAW. So I'm just curious if there's a timeline for getting a response to those questions.
We will look at those, Jen, and we will have an answer to you in terms of timeline by early next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Any other public comment? Okay, then we'll go ahead and put that one to bed and move to the next item. And I believe that's policy and release updates. And is Michelle going to be presenting this one?
I am, Michael. Thank you. So just highlight some of our priority releases that we did at the end of October, one being where we implemented the standard utility allowance subsidy change. So that was implemented at the end of October. And then we do have our baseline November release coming up on the 24th. So early in that holiday week, number of changes going in there. As we move into December, we had our the SSA COLA effort scheduled for the 6th of December, but we have pushed that out a week to the 13th because we're still awaiting some final numbers from DHCS, which now that the shutdown is over, we anticipate to get hopefully soon. And then just looking at some priority releases as we move into later in January, we have the Medi-Cal asset reinstatement and the Medi-Cal adult expansion freeze. So those are all on target for implementation in that priority release on the 21st. And then January, some additional policy or priority releases associated to some COLAs that are typical of that January timeframe. And then if we could go to the next slide. And then just from our upcoming 2511 release, we are still testing, getting ready to wrap that up the early next week. We do have our green light meeting next week on the 19th. And we will look to the deployment on the 24th. We did send out, we had our release webcast on November 4th, which continues to be 500 plus folks calling in. So really good participation there. And we did send out the recording and the Q&A from that on the 5th of November. And I believe that is it for my update.
Okay, all right. Any comments, questions on the policy and release update from our board members or our state partners? Any public comment? Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on. Our next item is benefits Cal.
Well, this is Frederick Gaines again. We're going to talk about the collaboration model, and Ashley's going to go over this piece with right now.
Good afternoon, everyone. This should look familiar to you. This timeline was presented at our last meeting, but wanted to provide you with a couple of updates. You'll see the little star. That's where we are now on the timeline. Just some dates were added to this. The initiative request package was sent out to the advisory group members on October 31st, and that kicks off their 60-day review period. We also finalized a date in January for our initiative, advisory group initiative request presentation. So it's going to be January 26th. It's going to be an all-day meeting. We're really looking forward to it. And if you go ahead one slide, I put together just a really high-level list of the ideas that were submitted from our CWDA group. We've got some around customer change reporting, upload categorization, secure upload, really exciting stuff that should be really interesting and unique ways to hopefully help our customers. Our advocate partners submitted some ideas around language access, also document imaging. So looking forward to see how those may align, and some around account creation and login. DHCS submitted one around improving application and renewal flow, and CDSS sent one around driving customer action and improving customer verification within Benefits Cal. So I'm thinking that we will see some common themes here, which is really nice to actually, see that we're all kind of caring about the same thing as far as ways we can help improve the system for the customers. That is all I have for you today. Oh, just kidding. I have one more slide. This one's not as much fun. This is just a quick explanation of the change matrix. This is what we'll be using to evaluate the initiatives as we discuss them as a group. Just some high-level categories that we'll be looking at as far as how we prioritize and score them. Broader alignment. So how does this initiative align with the goals, objectives, where we're trying to go? Of course, user impact, that includes our CBOs and our customers. We'll be looking at equity and access, the the user experience from both sides as far as a customer and a CBO. Of course, we have some in there to look at compliance and security, policy compliance and privacy. And then how does this impact the county? How does this change, impact their workload or their business processes? So this will be how we standardize scoring amongst all of the initiatives that come through. So we're really excited to do that come January. I am 99% sure that's my last slide.
Yeah.
No.
And now we're going to talk about the work groups that are going along with it from the benefits council side. Earlier, you heard Roger and Michelle and Jared speak about the work groups that are happening on the council score side. So these are the 3 work groups that we will be running in parallel from the benefits council side. We have the ABAR changes, the CalFresh error rate, as well as the true implementation work group that will be starting soon. So what we have here on this slide is just we've identified the goals of each one of those work groups for moving through, so you can read those when you want to. I won't read through them. And then we will be sharing them along with this meeting. We'll also be presenting this at the UCD monthly meeting next week, where we'll get a little bit more into it. But then we'll kick off those meetings in December, those work groups, as we work through getting those requirements from the public, the partners, to see where we can create some enhancements in the benefits council system to help with these 3 subjects here.
To add to Fred, we had one action item. I just wanted to provide a follow-up from the previous thing. The question was about why customers are showing a tendency to drop off closer to the end of the application for the apply for benefits flow. Just 2 pieces to it. One, just as a refresher, if you are not familiar with the apply for benefits flow, closer to the end of the application is a module called upload your documents, where the customers are encouraged to upload any potential documents to support their application. One behavior tendency that we are seeing is customers are stepping away from the application to what they need electronically, come back and upload, which is showing as a drop off. Second piece is, though, another behavioral tendency is what we are seeing is, of course, we are encouraging them with those inline help tests and everything that make sure everything is up to date. So they're do checks and come back, etc., taking longer time. But third piece is in the next quarterly stakeholder meetings, we will be providing a detailed drill down with the new doc upload changes we made in the FB portal as well as the doc center. And we are going to share our findings more in detail once we have those sentences completed too. So initial findings, what I share with you, but we are going to have more data to support the more on customer behavior in the next upcoming meetings. Just want to share that.
So should it stay open or closed?
I think we can close it for now, so we can add an item agenda to provide this update. Let's be updated.
Right. Back to you, Mike.
Was that the end of the presentation?
Yes, that was the last slide.
Okay. Quick question, Ashley. You still there?
Still here.
So the change matrix, I think scorecarding is a good way to assess priorities, but how did you guys come up with it? What was the process? Who was engaged?
Let's see. Oof, that was such a long time ago. Julia had an original idea that she brought forward, and then we worked with our stakeholder partners to kind of refine and clarify the areas that would be used. I think we may have even made some swaps.
Actually,
yes.
Yeah, let me help you. So we brought forward the initial change matrix, proposed categories. And over several months, we had collaborative meetings with the advocates, our state partners and CWDA on getting input on those categories to just kind of test them and see if they made sense and get clarity. I think we did make quite a few tweaks on even the terminology, on some of them. And then the advocates specifically took it back to their group, and then they came back with some questions. And so there we refined it. So that was months of
County representation was through CWDA.
CWDA, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any questions or comments from board members, state partners on that presentation? Okay, hearing none, I see a hand up for public comment. Jen?
Yeah, hi, this is Jen. I had two questions. One of them was, owner, thanks for the update about the people dropping off closer to the end of the application. I'm curious about your comment that people are stepping away and coming back to upload. According to the data that was previously shared on the website, the drop-offs are people who don't come back within 7 days of starting the application. So are you saying that most of these people are coming back after 7 days?
Yes, yeah, Jen, it's a great question. Thank you. So certain individuals, like this is a customer research when we conduct interviews with them, right? Some of them are, when we ask that question in a research area, they are referring, they're coming back, but in a later time period. For some, it takes longer for them to locate the documents and come back. But the metrics we shared earlier was, you were right, it was for the first 7 days. But you may recall after the enhancements we recently implemented, we are right now expanding the quarterly metrics that we are sharing. So in the next iteration of the quarterly metrics, we may see more data points from the customers. Any changes happen after the improvements that we introduced in the application.
So we can revisit this and take a
Exactly.
look at it and refine what the assessment is on that. Okay, so it's not conclusive, Jen, at this point, so I'll need you guys to do that.
Thank you. My second question was about the descriptions of the benefits Cal HR1 work groups. When we were, can I keep talking?
No, I was gonna say, Jen, just so we're clear, since with public comment, it's time. So you need to ask all the, the questions, and then if our team, this isn't for you, it's just more for the project team. Let the public ask all the questions and then we can respond to it so that we don't break up for time. Okay, go ahead.
My second question was about these work groups. When we requested participation, it was because we wanted to have a better understanding of how the CalSAWS system was going to address barriers for customers after they've submitted their application and are in that system. And it looks like the definitions or the scope of these groups has been shifted to be on Benefits Cal, which we kind of already have forms for that. So I would like to just reiterate that our interest is on making sure the end-to-end experience for people will be effective, and that we wanted to bring our expertise about what customers experience after they submit their application to be able to inform some of the decisions about changes that are happening in CalSAWS itself.
Okay, good point, Jen. We'll go ahead and take that one back as a part of what we're working forward on. Thank you for that point. Any other public comment? Okay, then we'll go ahead and we'll move on to transition update.
Afternoon, my name is Rajesh Tahliani. I'll be providing the M&E transition update. So 2 big milestones achieved at the end of October, early November. We deployed our first release in production, 1030 SUA release. So far, it has gone well. And then we took over the production operations, primarily the batch ops and the level 3 incident triage. So we've been operating batch in production since November 1st, coming up on 2 weeks anniversary. Pretty soon it'll be month and years. And then we've been triaging incidents. We're looking at incidents, and we did this work 90 days prior to, like, we looked at everything which was coming in Accenture queue. We would look at it, and that really helped us. And we hit the ground running on incident triage as well. And any given point, our backlog on incident triage is no more than a day or two. So far, good progress on that front. So 2 big milestones. I do want to take a moment here and acknowledge the significant collaboration. I look at Lisa, her team, and Lisa were amazing. So was Gainwell and Consortium, but could not have scripted this transition and this collaboration better than what we thought where we are. So I expected issues coming into this, but so far so good, and I'm hoping we keep it that way. So Lisa, you and your team, big thank you. Moving on to the next slide. Before that, so the 2, from a transition point of view, we are almost, I would say, 99% done. The group 1 and group 2 are 100% complete. There is one command center, a session which is scheduled after the 11/24 release. If I look at group 3, everything is done with the exception of on FSED or the CARES integration. We have a handful of sessions on testing. And then we have the ad hoc data reporting, which Accenture will continue through end of January. So those transitions are happening. And then group 4 is 100% done. Go to the next slide, please. So while, this was a significant milestone, we do have quite a bit of work in front of us. If you look at the slide, our work is broken down into 3 buckets. We have our baseline releases, which is the top section. The mid section is the Calgear's release, and the bottom section is the priority releases. On the baseline release, the 25.11 release, which we've been working for the last 6 or 7 months, the county validation and consortium testing is all 100% complete. That's good to go. What's remaining is the performance testing, which we intend to wrap up either today or latest by end of day Monday. So that's all good to go. 26.01 design nearing completion, and now we are focused on build. 26.03 early stages of design. And if I switch our focus to Calgear's, the 26.02, the design and build are 100% complete, and now the focus will shift on testing. And then 26.06, which is early stages of design. On the priority release, I already talked about the 1030, it's done. The 12, December 6th, which actually is now shifted to 13th due to COLA rate came in late. We are planning for that. And then we have the May revise, which is also progressing well. So overall, the transition activities are kind of nearing completion, and our focus now shifts to the production operations and the releases. Questions?
Questions, comments from board members, state partners? Public comment? Okay. I just want to express my sincere appreciation for our vendors working well together through this transition. I know it's been really difficult for everybody, especially with the project being such a lengthy project with long-term relationships and individuals being moving on and off teams, for us to be able to stay with a very smooth pattern. That's the dedication and the leadership in your guys' seats. I do want to see continuity going forward between our vendor communities. I think this is a real good example of how we can work whatever our roles are in and be successful on behalf of the project and on behalf of our communities we serve. So thank you to everyone, particularly on our vendors that have transitioned out into new roles. Thank you. That takes us to our last item, I believe, is a quarterly performance report.
It's public.
Yes. Oh, public comment.
Did I miss public comment?
Yes.
I thought I said that before I said a comment, but I'll ask for public comment once again. Not here in public comment. I swear I asked for it, but I guess I used to be missing it. Okay, now on to quarterly performance report.
Okay, I'll pick this one on. Metrics and quarterly stats. So we have here our trend for the releases this year. You'll see that it continues to be high quality with low cost of rework. We're showing this, and again, these slides are transitioning over in the coming meetings. So good news is that the quality of the last few releases this year continue to be high quality. And if we look at the next slide, this talks about defects slightly different than what we usually present to you in the quarterly metrics. What this one represented is, we had a requirement to get to 0 production defects. This was the tracking that we did on a weekly basis at the project. The blue line was the forecast, the green line actuals. We normally anticipate a slight spike after a baseline release. You'll see that for our September release, which had about 80 items, we did not see that spike materialize. So proud that, folks continue the focus right to the end and delivering quality for the counties. We did get to 0 with our last release on November 6th, I think it was. Next slide. This is our SLAs. You may remember last month, I did mention that on release day, we did have about an hour of slowness in the system in the morning that caused us to miss the EPC SLA overall for that day. And as Holly reported, we did pay those liquidated damages this month. With that, I'll hand it over to Dawn for info.
Thank you, Lisa. So from the infrastructure perspective, I'll be quick. It was green for the quarter. So there is not anything necessarily to point out in particular here. There is no liquidated damage applies column. There is a note underneath it letting you know that there is a liquidated damage for every SLA in the infrastructure contract. So there's one that applies to all of them. But with that, I will turn it over to Sarah for Highlands metrics as well.
Thanks, Dawn. Excuse me, Sarah from Highland. As you can see here, all of the SLAs for August, September, and October were met for the Highland imaging portion. So quick update for you this time. That's all I have. Thank you.
And I believe over to benefits, Cal.
I think so. All right, last one on our holiday festive red and green slides. We are also green on the benefits cal for all SLAs.
Too.
It is teal, actually. Missed opportunity there. It's red and green down at the bottom, though. Just imagine green.
Back to you, Michael.
Okay, all right, well, while I appreciate festive colors, I'm glad there's not much red in these slides and that we're focused mostly on green, and that's a testament to the diligence that continues to be taken on the project and focus on performance as our priority and availabilities as our priority, which our SLAs control for. So I appreciate the vendors for stepping up, and whenever we have them, but for you guys being able to remedy that as quickly as possible. All right, then I'm going to ask any questions or comments from our board members, state partners on the performance presentation. Okay, hearing none, any public comment? Okay, so that ends the informational items, and we are going to pause our public meeting, and we are going to convene a closed session, and we'll come back and adjourn the public meeting thereafter. Those who are on the public meeting, just hang on there. We will be back in a bit. Those in the room, we're going to have to excuse those who are not going to be part of that, which is just the members are going to remain. Meeting log. All right, then. Now it's been recorded. Okay. Thank you, guys. Meeting adjourned. I will see you guys in December. Take care. Bye, guys.